Hello and welcome to Card Subject to Change presents The Kickout, the last word in professional wrestling. We are part of the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. I am the Wizard CZ, and joining me as usual is my partner, Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Nick, how are you today?
I'm doing great, CZ. How about yourself?
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm too. This is we're venturing out here. Please bear with us. You've been with us so far on the Card Subject to Change. Just bear with us here. We're trying something new. This is the Kickout, episode 1, the last word in pro wrestling. Kind of getting back to our roots. We wanted to get behind the curtain a little bit, a little discussion about the show, maybe a little discussion for the show. So, CZ, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I think
I had to steal the Cody line. I had to. I was just waiting for that.
You've been wanting to do that for a while.
So, what do you want about Kickout?
I think we should start. If you missed our previous episode 116 of the Card Subject to Change, we talked all things Bash in Berlin.
Episode 146.
146. What did I say? 116? I did not mean that.
Come on, you rookie.
I'm going back in time.
You are, man.
Growing pains. 146, you can find that on our archives and on YouTube. Just follow at CSTC Podcast. Give a subscribe, like, and share. These episodes will be airing on YouTube as well.
Yep.
As well as on Spotify and all other audio platforms. But Nick, we both brought something to the table to discuss today.
Yep.
And I think we should start with you.
Okay. I know the wrestling world, including myself, was a little pissed off Wednesday night with the ending of All Elite Wrestling. Bryan Danielson cutting a promo, the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and just kind of challenging anybody in the back who wants to come out and face the Dragon and win the title. And lo and behold, it was the scapegoat, Jack Perry. Now listen, I'm going to All Out. I'm going to be there next week. Probably part of our next show on the Card Subject Change podcast. I'll be talking about that. You'll be talking about where you're going to be next weekend. Regardless, I was more excited to have Danielson maybe face this list of dream opponents. He's on this run now where if he loses the belt, he's gone. So when Jack Perry comes out, jumps him, or airs the video and jumps him, my heart sank. Are you kidding? This is what you're doing, AEW. Are you doing this because it's Chicago and there's going to be nuclear heat with the scapegoat Jack Perry, knowing what we know with his history of CM Punk? I slept on it. I woke up and I wasn't as pissed because I think there is something bigger going on here.
I hope so.
And it goes back to the beginning of the show with Jon Moxley telling Tony Schiavone, this isn't your show anymore. I don't think he meant, Tony Schiavone, this isn't your show anymore, Tony. I think he was, Tony Schiavone, this isn't AEW show anymore. I think we're on the cusp of an invasion angle.
Okay.
We had Moxley cut that cryptic promo in the beginning. We had Marina Shafir kind of join forces with Moxley backstage and take out friend of the show and Dreamwave champion Connor Hopkins, if you were watching. Shout out to the Coyote Connor Hopkins for being on Dynamite the other night. But what are your thoughts about Jack Perry being the first?
It's disgusting.
I know it is, but listen, I think it's going to be inconsequential by the time it's done.
I'm sure you're right.
No.
Okay, well, you are never.
Thank you. I had to. I think he's just a pawn to something bigger.
And here's my thoughts. When Danielson won the title, what I ideally wanted was for the EVPs to come out and say, okay, you got the title. Congratulations. Next time you lose, when you lose that belt, you are gone. And I think there's a little of that mixed into this.
I think that is kind of like, though it hasn't aired on TV, I think it's a given and kind of like people know that now.
Yeah.
It's kind of a known thing.
But you and I feel very similarly about Jack Perry.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of how he's gotten this push. Happy for him as a wrestler that he has found this avenue He's obviously getting reactions from people, which he's doing his job. He's aligned himself with the elite, which is going to get heel status. He's going to get booed out of Chicago because Chicago's Punk's hometown. And I also think we've never seen Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson lock up. And I think it's kind of ironic at All Out 2021 when Danielson debuted, Jungle Boy was in the ring with Luchasaurus and Christian after Christian's failed title win against Kenny Omega. And that's the same pay-per-view that Adam Cole debuted, all that. Cole and Bryan Danielson debuted at All Out 2021. So it's kind of a full circle moment. I think Danielson is going to just waylay and beat the crap out of Jungle Boy, or excuse me, scapegoat Jack Perry. But I think it's the catalyst. This match is the catalyst to a bigger thing. I don't think we won't remember this show because of this match. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
What happens after this match, I think, is what's going to be memorable. I was blind with rage Wednesday night. Blind with rage. You didn't watch the show till later Thursday. I know you weren't happy with the ending, but I slept on it and I got to thinking more. I talked to a couple other guys. I think something bigger is going to happen here. And if that's the case, I'm all for it.
I hope so. I think you're right. You're never wrong.
That's right.
And I do believe you are correct here. But I sure hope that's the case. I don't want to see in any way, shape, or form Jack Perry versus Bryan Danielson. That is not on my checklist of dream match.
Correct.
But if we have to get through it to get to the bigger picture, so be it.
Sure. So, what do you want to talk about, CZ?
Cody Rhodes living the gimmick over there. So I have something a little broader.
Yep.
I pushed my lens out a little bit to open a bigger picture, but I am going to be a little topical. On the last episode of Friday Night SmackDown, LA Knight had an open challenge for his United States Championship.
Mm-hmm.
The match, he retained the title against Ludwig Kaiser, which Kaiser was in his home country.
Sure.
Since it did emanate from Berlin before the big show Saturday.
Yep.
But I don't know how you feel, but I think the open challenge is a trope that is completely overused and done way too long.
I kind of knew this is where I kind of thought you'd go this way with it. I'll tell you why I think it's used. Then they don't have to explain why Ludwig Kaiser's there.
Okay. Here's my
it gives WWE or whatever promotion there is an out to explain why that person's there. Through wrestling and storylines, you know why a match is happening. You know why it's going on. You know how it's gotten to this. We've seen it play out. When there's an open challenge like that, I think they're giving guys a chance. Show us what you got without necessarily being in the storyline right now. I think it's kind of like a Band-Aid. It's kind of like a Band-Aid. It's kind of like it's like a built-in good excuse. No excuse is a good excuse, but it's a built-in good. I'll say it's a built-in explanation.
Okay.
An open challenge to me is a built-in explanation of why wrestler B is wrestling wrestler A, and now we can just talk about the match.
All right. For one-off occasions, I'm okay with that. But let's look at when they have an open challenge week in and week out. I believe Seth Rollins was the last one to do it. And every single week, I'm going to have an open challenge for my title. Every single week, it's overdone. It's too much. When I see an open challenge, what I want in my head is someone big to debut. Someone to come out, and someone we haven't seen in either in a while, someone returning, or someone new to the company coming out and saying, "Hi, I'm here to kick your ass now."
I know what you mean by Rollins doing the open challenge every week. And you're talking about that with the world heavyweight title.
Yeah.
He had just won that. So I think they wanted him to get matches,
which I'm not disputing.
get wins. But I see where you're coming from with it being an overused trope. But I'm looking at it from the company standpoint. I think it's just it's kind of a well-polished excuse.
Okay. Can I counter that?
Absolutely.
Can I quote one of your favorite podcasters, Mr. Jim Cornette?
Sure.
Lazy booking.
Yeah, it can be. Okay, let me think. Let me. All right, we're talking about open challenges here. This is the kick out, by the way. A card subject to change presentation. SummerSlam, Honky Tonk Man, open challenge. Anybody you got back there, I want to wrestle them. Bring them out. I don't care who it is. Ultimate Warrior comes out, squashes him, takes the belt. That's kind of what you want the open challenge to be.
Yes.
A surprise.
I don't necessarily want the
surprise,
change,
a big moment. Title doesn't have to change hands, but a big debut or something of that sort. That's fine. That's fine. You're sick and tired of the open challenge being used with wrestlers that are currently on the roster.
Yeah.
So whose open challenge were you more pissed off at? Bryan Danielson's or LA Knights?
LA Knights.
Okay. Why is that?
I don't think it was needed. Danielson, I don't think either of them were needed for that matter, but Danielson doesn't piss me off as much because there are some dream opponents over in AEW that I can see, okay, definitely want to see this guy in the ring with Danielson before he goes. Definitely want to see this guy. I'm not going to name any names right now. I could go on forever with that. But I don't have any necessary dream opponents for LA Knight right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people that I'd love to see in a feud with him. I think the feud with Escobar was really good. I'd love to see that continue a little bit. And there are some well-deserving names that should be in that U.S. title picture. But I don't think it was the right time for him to come out and do an open challenge and just have Ludwig Kaiser.
Okay. Who's next for him? You're an LA Knight guy. Who do you want to see have a feud with for the U.S. belt?
Honestly,
Does Logan Paul get a rematch?
as much as I want to say he should, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm going to throw two names out there.
Okay.
I'd be happy to see. I lost my train of thought for a second. Sorry.
You're talking about LA Knight, who you'd like to see him wrestle for the U.S. belt.
I would like to see they're in the middle of a feud right now, but I would like to see who comes out ahead in the Andrade Carmelo feud that's going on.
And that feud's getting good remarks backstage. People are accepting it, like what's going on. I think it's going to continue a little bit.
I think it is too.
And I think who comes out of that will be next for him. So maybe that's why there's the open challenge to bide time. But I get it. There are tropes out there that seem to trigger us from time to time. Let us know. Hit us up on your socials. CZ's not a fan of the open challenge. That's his trope that upsets him. What wrestling trope upsets you? Hit us up on our socials. We are the Kick Out, a card subject to change podcast presentation. Let's talk about the next show coming up here, episode 147. What's on the cooker for 147?
Well, we have a pretty unique situation.
We do.
This upcoming weekend, as we record this, there is so much wrestling going on, so many choices. You got AEW All Out. Here in town, you've got SCW Pro's anniversary show, 21st anniversary.
21st anniversary for SCW.
Congratulations to SCW
Absolutely.
and all of our friends there.
Absolutely.
You have one of the biggest shows in Iowa, the Fan Fest and wrestling event known as Bridge City Slam. This is the 6th version of that.
This is Bridge City Slam 6. Yep.
Yes. Go back in our archives, find our talk with Austin Bayless. He and I had a good conversation about what to expect at Bridge City Slam 6. but there's so much more out there. This is a fantastic fantastic time to be a wrestling fan. And for the first time in a while, Nick and I are going separate ways. We're not parting ways.
We're going separate ways before the sake of the show.
Yes.
We're going to divide and conquer this coming weekend with all this wrestling going on. I'm going to be at All Out in Chicago, Hoffman Estates at the Now Arena. I've been at 21 and 22. I'm going up with some buddies for this year's 24. Looking forward to it, especially after that build on Dynamite. They're coming off All In. They've got some momentum. They put an extra weekend this year as opposed to last year where they were back-to-back weekends and didn't really have time to build a show. They've built 5 decent matches so far. Got to think they're going to add some more with the upcoming television programming before the All Out pay-per-view. But I'll be in Chicago for All Out. And CZ, you'll be at Bridge City Slam 6.
I am. I got the invitation. The means to go see Bridge City. I'm going to meet some legends.
You're going to meet some legends. You can geek out a little bit here. It's okay to geek out here. Tell them who you're going to be meeting, big guy.
Well, they say all men are created equal. But when you look at me and when you look at Nick Bull, you know that's not true.
If I see you on this show next week with that chain link thing that he wears, we're talking about Big Papa Pump. CZ's going to meet Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner at Bridge City Slam. He's like a kid on December 24th, and he can't sleep. And he's got like 7 more sleeps till it happens. Maybe. Yeah, by the time this airs, 4 or 5 sleeps. Who knows? I want him to wear that chainmail headdress that Scott Steiner wears. I want you to get one so bad.
I wish I
just wear it everywhere.
If you know where to find one, let me know. Hit me up as soon as possible.
Just wear it. That's what you wear to indie shows.
That's what I wear.
That's your hat. That's your, instead of wearing the card change hat, you wear the chainmail headdress that Steiner wears. No? I think it's a great idea. You do, and you do too.
Yes, I do.
You do too.
Yes, I do. I'm debating as to what I'm going to take for Scott Steiner to sign. I have a replica World Heavyweight Championship belt, but I also have a poster from Eric Hodson.
Yep.
Eric Hodson, who we met at last year's Planet Funk Con, that has the greatest promo ever, the Numbers promo, in comic book form. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. The poster's a little easier to carry around. I think that might be what I'm going to get signed, but how cool would it be to have a World Heavyweight Championship signed by
you got yourself a dilemma there. But hey, if you're listening, hit CZ up on the socials. What should he have signed? Should he have his Numbers poster signed or that replica World Heavyweight Championship? We are running out of time here on the Kickout. We set a time limit for ourselves, and we're going to keep it short and sweet, but just a little behind the curtain here, a little more discussion-based show than we normally do. We do a lot of reviewing on the other show, a lot of interviews. Stay tuned. Next week, episode 147 of the Card Subject Change podcast. CZ going to Central Empire's Bridge City Slam. I'll be at AEW's All Out. That'll be next week's episode. Also, stay tuned. Next week, the Kickout episode 2 will be out. What's going to be on?
Talk about?
We don't know. What's going to catch our ear this week? We'll bring it to you. We'll bring it here. We'll bounce it off each other. That's how we're going to do it. But yeah, we wanted just to do something new, something different, something in short form. This will hit you midweek. Don't worry. We're the Card Subject Change. We're not going anywhere. This is just the Kickout, the last word in wrestling.